Winter's coming, it's getting cold outside, the price of everything's going up, energy's soaring, the price of business and doing business is going up, the price that companies are charging is going up, the amount that companies is making is going down. Now is the worst time to start a business. Or so you thought I was going to say in this video. Absolutely not. We talk about this and we hear it all the time. It's on the news every single day. The cost of living crisis. Things are really expensive at the minute. I was going shopping the other day. I was like, what? I was like, how much? But that doesn't mean it's a bad time to start a business. As a matter of fact, my most financially prosperous year for a new business has been 2023. Selling luxury items that people don't need. I'm not saying that in any sort of a negative way, and of course people are struggling, I see it all the time. People can't afford the basics. But it doesn't mean that all money's gone away, and more importantly, it doesn't mean that now is a bad time to start a business, for a few reasons. I'm going to touch upon all of them in this video. So let's start off with the main one. The first and most important thing to talk about with businesses, there is never, ever, ever the perfect time to start a business. Starting a business last year may have seemed like a slightly better option, or the year before. But let's think about the last 10-15 years, okay? 2007, we had an economic crash. Terrible time to start a business, allegedly. 2010-15, through that time period, we had a massive market pump. This might sound like a great time, but guess what? Now markets are overvalued, and it means that it's going to be hard to get your space in the market. Everything's oversaturated. Now it's a terrible time to start a business. And then we had 2020, of course, you know, the C word, not that one, but you know what I'm talking about. And that was a terrible time to start a business. Now that probably was a pretty bad time for a lot of people, but a lot of people made a lot of money in that time period as well. What I'm saying is, there's been times where business has been easier, harder. It doesn't matter. It's so irrelevant. There's never going to be the perfect time to start a business. Some figures are too high in the economy, bad time. Some figures are too low, bad time. Look, the fact is, there's never been a perfect time in business. It also depends on what market you're in, but don't use the whole now's the worst time as the reason to not try. Like I said, started out in about March selling watches. No one needs a watch. And a lot of these watches were really expensive. Still made a lot of money by the end of July. That's the thing. It doesn't really matter what the figures say. It doesn't mean that people are going to stop wanting to live. It doesn't mean that people are going to stop wanting to have a nice life. Yes, the cost of living crisis and whatever is a thing, but I know many people this year that have been on holiday to exotic locations. So there's obviously still some money going around, and it's not necessarily the masses that you're trying to market to. Rolls-Royce don't make cars for the masses, but they're still a company worth millions, if not billions. Why is that? Because what they do sell is of enough value that it works out. So don't think that the timing of the business matters too much. If anything, now is one of the best times to either acquire a business or start a business. And I'll tell you why it is. It goes back to the whole location, if you will, the sort of age demographic of our society. Think about it. How many people, when you walk around the street, that you see are old, between the ages of, say, 50 and 90? A lot of them. These people are getting ready for, if not have, just retired. What happens when people retire? They want to pass on their trade, or there's a deficit for their trade, or people want to sell out. So businesses, people looking to sell them if they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, time to retire. Trades, people not in them anymore, creating a new space in the market. That, to me, sounds like a great time to enter. You can buy up cheap businesses if that's what you wish to do, or you can enter a market because the amount of people has gone down, the amount of people who can do the work, but the supply, if anything, has gone up as more people are now in our society. What I'm saying here is, there are positives as much as there are negatives, and I'm not really trying to be that guy, but it is to a degree a mindset thing. Yes, figures are going to be legitimate. Of course, it's not the best time to start certain businesses, but there's always going to be a demand for products because people want to have fun. No one wants to live a boring life, and there's always going to be people who have money in the world somewhere. So that's one of the great reasons why I say now is one of the best times to start a business. More opportunities, more demand, less supply. On top of that, I also think it goes back to the whole, what are we here for? Starting a business sounds like a huge thing, but not everybody's out here to be the next Steve Jobs, let's be honest. Most people are going to be happy making £500 to £3,000 a month, and that's them done. I look at businesses all the time and I ask people who also run businesses, hey, so-and-so, you run a shop or a this or a that, why do you only make this much money? People often take that as a rude question, but I'm just being completely serious. Like, if I ran this business, I'd be expanding to have 3 shops and make this much money, and we're in this location, that location. And the people just say, I don't care. I make enough money, and that's fine. I get that. I actually do. It's not what I do, but I do understand it. So when we talk about the whole, now's not the best time to start a business, if we're selling products for £100 a piece, let's say, we only need to sell 10 products a month to have a business that's making us quite a lot of money. Especially if these products don't cost as much to make, if anything, if we're selling digital products or something like that. Now could be one of the best times to start a business. We have access to all this technology at our fingertips, and we basically have stuff that other generations would not have had. So now is no worse of a time to start a business than ever before. There's always a market for certain things, there's always a market that can be tapped into, and there's always someone willing to buy a product if you're willing to sell it. What I'm saying here is, yes, we are in an economic downturn. Yes, we're seeing the price of big companies go down. Yes, we're seeing the price of assets go up. All of these things are true, but, let common sense win here. You still have money for some things, most likely. Other people do as well. Maybe the way that people pay for things has gone different, with more people financing things. Maybe people are spending less on certain items, but people are still spending on something somewhere. Whether you have to change your business from selling jewellery, which is a niche product that is not really necessary, to selling, I don't know, something which is actually a utility good. You still have a business potential idea there. Something which may not have been able to be started if it wasn't for a poor economic situation. I think people don't even understand the simple supply and demand rules of economics. For the most part, when somebody loses as bad as it is, somebody else wins. So if the money is going away, it's not disappearing as such, unless we're talking about quantitative tightening, which is allegedly happening. But unless we're talking about that, the money's not disappearing, it's just going somewhere else. The question is, how do you make that money go to you? What business to start and when to start it is a tough question. Maybe this year isn't the time. Maybe your mindset's not in the right place. Maybe this year's not the time for your market. Maybe your market is one that's been disproportionately hit, as a lot of businesses have. But the concept of starting a business as some loose umbrella terminology in 2023 is no worse than starting it in 2022, 21, 19, 15, 85, any of these years. Things are different. The way that we have to operate is different. But how many more millionaires have been made since the 80s? People have still made money in that time period. So the times are not getting worse for everybody. If you're on your A game, still thinking about what you can do, you'll think of something. But don't be dissuaded from your idea, your pioneering concept that you dream about starting, because now's a bad time. There will never be the right time for anything if we think with that mindset. Sometimes it does take some bravery just going in with it. Do the risk management, don't get me wrong, think sensibly about what it is that you're trying to do. But this is no worse of a time for most people, in terms of business, than any time in human history. So what I'm saying is, think about it with your own mind. Is it a good time for your business? And can you run it? Can you start it? If you believe you can, why not give it a go? Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.